Hello and welcome to this full video build of the Revell kit number 04387 Focke Wulf FW200 C-8 Condor in 72nd scale. Let's start with the unboxing. The kit dates from 2006 and it was completely new injection molding at that time. It contains 240 parts on 11 sprues and the fuselage hulls are included separately. There is also a sprue with clear parts and decals. The details are also very good, especially the fabric covering is very nicely indicated. The aircraft was developed before the Second World War in the mid-1930s for the German Lufthansa. In 1938 it was the first land-based aircraft to fly non-stop from Berlin to New York. Due to Second World War, the aircraft was redesigned as a bomber, troop carrier and above all as maritime reconnaissance aircraft. The model represents the C-8 version, which served as a carrier aircraft for the Henschel HS-283 radio-controlled glide bombs. The construction begins, as with all aircrafts, with the interior or rated directly with the cockpit, which is very nicely detailed. The model also has two sections in the roof, which could be removed in the final stage to reveal the interior. One is at the front, just behind the cockpit, and the other is at the rear, just by the door. The parts fit together very well. There were no problems with mismatched parts. I glue everything together first before painting. This makes it easier as the glue will not stick to the paint. You can clearly see the level of detail of the cockpit on this aircraft. The cockpit will be clearly visible from the outside because of the large windows. Now we are in the rear interior area, which will also be built without paint at first. It is also very nicely detailed because the door could also be shown open. Now we glue the horizontal stabilizer together. You can see the fabric covered elevator very nicely. After the horizontal stabilizer, the wing is glued together. This also fits together without any problems, so that everything is glued seamlessly. It is fixed with various clamps and adhesive tape. Continue with the undercarriage. This is also very nicely detailed and fits without problems. Glued together it is also very stable, although it's relatively filigree. One undercarriage leg consists of 4 parts. The Henschel HS-283 gliding bomb also has to be built twice. It consists of 4 parts. Each main undercarriage has 2 tires. In total there are 4 large tires and a tail wheel. Very nicely detailing of the tire profile. The interior is now painted green without primer. I also paint the interior walls of the fuselage completely in green, so that it doesn't appear too light through the windows, as well as the interior parts of the engines. The undercarriage is also painted green. I painted the cockpit panels and consoles grey with a brush, as well as the seat cushions. The armrests, wooden chairs and tables are painted beige. The fuselage nacelle is glued together. This consists of transparent parts as well as normal parts, which I had already painted in advance. The cockpit is fitted with the last chair and the seat belts are painted accordingly. The first clear parts are glued into the fuselage. The door on my model is shown closed, so it is glued shut. Of course, I also glued the windows in the other fuselage. The decal is attached to the cockpit panel and then the panel is glued in, completing the wool cockpit section. The cockpit section and the rear interior section are glued into one half of the fuselage. It is important that the other half of the fuselage is placed on top before gluing to see if anything needs to be sanded down. Now both fuselage halves are glued together to allow it to dry. The fuselage is fixed with adhesive tape so that the glue can weld the plastic together. The upper part of the fuselage nozzle with the bomb mount is glued on. The suspension for the Henschel glide bombs is attached to the outer engine nacelles. The glue has now dried and the seam must now be sanded over the entire fuselage. Do this with sandpaper and little water. The lines must be lightly traced, the same for the wings. The fuselage and wings are now ready for gluing, as are the horizontal stabilizers. Since a part of the cockpit window will be visible underneath after it has been fitted, this must first be painted with the correct color. The cockpit window consists of two parts. As you can see, there are a lot of windows that need to be masked. The windows are masked with pre-cut pieces of adhesive and other parts with self-made pieces. Now the priming of the aeroplane can begin. It is primed in black so that it can be nicely shaded afterwards. Other parts are also primed at the same time, such as the exhaust, propeller and other engine parts. The lower half of the fuselage follows, of course. The fuselage nacelle is still missing, as it also has to be painted underneath because of the transparent parts. The propeller hub cover is painted in white, as is the front engine cover. The interior of the fuselage nacelle is painted green before the nacelle can be glued. This marks the start of the final assembly of the fuselage nacelle. The cylinder heads are painted silver. The fuselage nacelle can now be attached to the fuselage as a wool and fixed with adhesive tape. The front part is attached separately. After drying, the nacelle can also be primed in black. Work can also continue on the engines, with the cooling flaps and the exhaust system, as well as the propeller shaft. Now the painting can begin with the color. The lower part of the fuselage is painted with RLM76 and I try to shade the panels. After shading, I cover it with a thin flat coat of paint. After the light color of the underside is finished, I continue with the upper side, painting the entire surface with the lighter green and then masking off the areas for the camouflage so that the darker green can be applied on top. The two green colors are RLM72 and RLM73. The light green areas are now covered and the dark green area is painted. The test piece can be seen on the right wing. The engines are now being finalized so that the exterior can also be painted. The wool aircraft is now being prepared for the decals with glossy clear varnish. The engine and tires are now being painted. The decals are now attached to the fuselage. They are of very good quality. The glide bomb is also painted in RLM76 to match the camouflage. The exhaust dirt is applied to the wings with the airbrush gun. The paneling is applied to the prominent lines with thin black paint. After all the details and paintwork on the fuselage has been completed, the wool aircraft is given a coat of matte clear varnish. When the clear coat is fully dry, the masking can be removed. I recommend running a knife around the edge first to loosen the clear coat bond and avoid damaging the layer when removing the masking. The same applies to the fuselage part, which can be removed. The antennas must also be glued and then painted. First glue, then paint. The base support can be clamped well and individual elements can be attached afterwards. The turrets can now be attached to the fuselage elements. The engine nacelles, which I had not yet glued on, can also be finalized. The engine nacelles can be attached without any problems, followed by the propellers and the rear turret. Now the undercarriage and wheels are added to the aircraft, as well as various other parts. The glide bombs are attached to the mounts and now only the turrets and antennas are missing. The model is finished. I'm very happy with the result. I hope you liked the video. If you liked the video, leave a subscription, thumbs up and write a comment. See you soon back here on the channel for the next video.